in the proceedings. But the recent incident made him look at Zhang Yi with newfound respect. Composure, calmness. Such composure and decisiveness were not what one would expect from someone so young. It was nothing short of astonishing. No wonder he could lead the Wushui militia to this level. It's only natural. Zhang Yi smiled. Lu Hani spoke up. My apologies, everyone. I'm deeply sorry for what happened today. Rest assured, we at Yilang won't let this slide. I'll contact the Shade faction and demand they give me and all of you a proper explanation. Lu Hani's face flushed slightly. At that moment, the thought of war began to take root in his mind. Zhang Yi raised his hand, signaling Lu Hani to calm down. He typed a line on the screen. Hold on. I suspect this isn't as straightforward as it seems. Chapter 38, No Weapons? Build your own. The moment he spoke, all eyes turned to Zhang Yi. Not that simple? What does that mean? Andre frowned deeply. Is there more to this than meets the eye? These bodies were clearly sand people. Andre crouched down and examined the scorched insignia on the chest of one corpse. If I recall correctly, this is the emblem of a secret organization in Sandia, rumored to serve exclusively for the Sandia royal family. No, don't you find this all too bizarre? Zhang Yi dismissed Andre's theory. If this really was the work of the Sand People, they wouldn't need such a grand display to kill us. Besides, these assassins exposed their identities far too quickly. It's as if the other side, fearing we might uncover their identities if things went wrong, deliberately marked them with Sand People characteristics. Zhang Yi delivered a professional analysis. Lu Hani and the others quickly gave him a thumbs up, exclaiming, "Brilliant." Earlier, blinded by hatred, they'd been ready to confront Shashi for justice. If not for Zhang Yi's warning, they nearly fell into the enemy's trap. Zhang Yi continued, "How about this? Let's all sit down again and discuss this calmly." No one present objected. Escorted by soldiers, the group returned to the conference room, while some troops remained behind to clean up the scene. Such a major incident quickly sent shockwaves through Yilang's upper echelons. No sooner had Zhang Yi and the others returned to the conference hall. Several men in non-commissioned officer uniforms hurriedly arrived at the scene. Lu Hani briefly communicated with them. Some of them departed, while others remained. 4 remained. Lu Hani introduced them to Zhang Yi and the others, all high-ranking Yilang officials at the general level. Their status was highly significant. Another individual held a unique position, a representative from Gasha. His name was Handermas. Everyone took their seats. One of the generals glared at Zhang Yi with a sour expression. "So you're saying this wasn't San's doing?" As expected. All the Yilang high-ranking officials naturally pinned this incident on Shashi. He had just heard their president mention the possibility of a misunderstanding, which had eased his suspicions. But suspicion lingered. The same issue remained. Shashi and them were sworn enemies. Only Shasha would harbor such deep-seated hatred toward them, resorting to suicide attacks. Zhang Yi shook his head, wondering how these people had ever risen to such positions. Such a simple question, and they can't even think it through. Surely everyone knows about the recent wars between Shashi and the Wuxi forces, each ending in Shash's crushing defeat. After multiple conflicts, Shashi is already stretched thin. With one hand fighting the Wuxi forces, do they really have the energy to orchestrate this? Zhang Yi decided to offer them a rational analysis. If Shashi took such action, they would invite frenzied retaliation from nations like Yilang and others across the eastern continent. Already battered and demoralized, Shashi would face encirclement by rival powers. Surely you don't believe this is what Shashi desires? The reasons for starting wars are often simple. Interests? Yes. Nearly every war stems from conflicting interests or unfulfilled desires, forcing one to turn their black hand against others. But for Shashi to do this would yield no benefit whatsoever. Instead, it would only deepen its isolation. Only a fool would do such a thing. The crowd was stunned. The look in their eyes as they turned to Zhang Yi changed instantly, a hint of awe, a touch of reverence. Truly befitting someone from the mysterious Eastern superpower. His analysis was spot on. In other words, this incident was framed on Shaja by another faction. Upon closer examination, it all smacked of military strategy. Who doesn't know that in the realm of military strategy, the Dragon Nation is the world's grandmaster? Abdullah asked with a serious expression. Then who would frame Shashi and deliberately stir up conflict? Zhang Yi pondered for a moment. Need I say more? I suspect the mastermind behind this is Yisili. Zhang Yi's suspicion of them stemmed from a simple reason. As an invader, Yisili had deep-seated conflicts with the nations of Dongzhou. Several wars in the eastern continent had erupted because of Yisili. Anyone paying attention knew that muddying the waters and seizing opportunities to stir trouble were Yisili's standard tactics for profiting in East Continent. Besides Yisili and excluding Shashi, Zhang Yi couldn't think of a second nation in East Continent daring to act this way in the backyard of Yilang, the region's dominant power. When it came to Yisili, figures like Lu Hani and others harbored a deep-seated hatred for it. No matter how fierce the infighting in East Continent, all Enlabians were, at their core, one family. But Yisili? That was a genuine invader. The group looked at Zhang Yi. After his analysis, they undoubtedly regarded him as a pillar of strength. They all wanted to hear what Zhang Yi planned to do next. Zhang Yi read their thoughts in their expectant, furious gazes. Well then, since Yisili wants to start a war and stir up trouble, I suppose we can't afford to be passive, can we? Absolutely not. We must fight back. Right. If need be, we'll ignite another Eastern Continent war. Everyone's spirits soared, itching to start the fight immediately. This time, the enemy had come right to our doorstep. No one could swallow their pride. Zhang Yi smiled. Observing the reactions on the screen, he realized this was a prime opportunity to rally support. He couldn't lead the Hushi forces forever as a subordinate to Yi Lang. It was time to establish his authority and standing. Zhang Yi turned his gaze toward the representative of Gaza. That was Han Demos. Everyone's gaze followed Zhang Yi's and landed on Han. Han suddenly became the center of everyone's attention. Han surveyed the group, then wore an expression of helpless resignation. The Gashan region borders Yisili, making it a key target for Yisili's attacks. Not only did Yisili exert military pressure, but it also imposed restrictions on development in every aspect. Any resources intended for Gaza must pass through Yisili's strict controls. Thus, forget about equipment, even construction materials and daily necessities couldn't necessarily enter Gaza. Gaza thus became the world's largest open-air prison, imprisoning countless Gazans and their dignity. Gaza's hatred for Israel runs deep to the bone. They yearn to avenge past humiliations and overturn the table with Israel. But Gaza's own strength is too weak. It has virtually no capacity to launch effective attacks against Israel. It's not that the Palestinians don't want to fight back, they simply lack the means to confront Israel. They were sorely lacking in equipment. Zhang Yi rose, circled around everyone, and approached Han from behind. He patted his shoulder, signaling him to relax. Here's what we'll do. Do as I say. I'll have people prepare a stockpile of gas tanks, steel pipes, sugar, fertilizer, that sort of thing. Then we'll export them to you at low prices. As daily necessities, they shouldn't be restricted. This was the simplest and most effective solution Zhang Yi could think of at the moment. No weapons? Use your brain, you can totally make them yourselves. Chapter 39, Gas cylinders as shells ever considered? Hearing Zhang Yi's suggestion, everyone looked utterly bewildered, exchanging confused glances as if they'd misheard. Stockpiling expenses, white sugar, gas cylinders, and have Gaza import them? Gaza was indeed short on supplies. But how does that relate to the topic at hand? Mr. Jiang, thank you for your kindness, but how does this relate to resisting Yisili? Zhang Yi shook his head. These officials, they truly are boorish. They don't even grasp basic chemistry principles. This highlights the importance of national strength and universal education. Truth be told, Zhang Yi felt fortunate to have been born in the Dragon Nation. Zhang Yi explained, when these substances combine, they trigger a remarkable chemical reaction. While not quite as powerful as a real rocket-propelled grenade, it's close enough, more than sufficient for your purposes. This. Han's mouth twitched. It felt like Zhang Yi was speaking gibberish, utterly implausible. He'd seen these items in everyday life, never witnessed any explosions. Zhang Yi ignored his skeptical gaze. Whether they understood or not didn't matter. Once he demonstrated it, they'd understand exactly what he was talking about. What mattered was, Zhang Yi wanted to attract investment and develop the foundational industries for the oil field. For comprehensive development, relying solely on oil fields wouldn't suffice. That would only make us another big shot like Sandia, without other industrial chains of their own. Nor would they possess their own technology. To avoid being bullied, they had no choice but to pay for bodyguards and purchase foreign equipment at premium prices. In Zhang Yi's view, this situation is deeply frustrating. We absolutely cannot follow this path. If we do it, we must pursue comprehensive development, strike back from behind, and gradually surpass the world. We must establish our own industrial and commercial systems. The production and export of basic light industry products would be the first step. As for the high-end sector, we'll gradually follow up on those later. Zhang Yi could already envision the future. Domestically developed and manufactured goods and equipment will be exported worldwide, generating substantial profits. The strength of a nation is not measured by any single aspect, but by its sheer scale, whether it can achieve self-sufficient production and internal consumption, completing a virtuous domestic cycle without relying on foreign technology or imports. The scope of this is vast. In short, it boils down to two words: comprehensive. Alright, I'll demonstrate it for you. You'll understand once you see it. Zhang Yedo. He made a list and had someone gather the materials on it. Things like white sugar, fertilizer, gas cylinders, steel pipes, and other such items. These items are quite common. They were fairly easy to come by any long. While the men were gathering supplies, Zhang Yi elaborated on his insights and views regarding Yisili. The group listened with rapt attention. We've learned something. This meeting had already become centered around Zhang Yi. In fact, upon hearing about the Huchi armed forces' recent spectacular campaigns that had shocked the world, many remained skeptical. Especially Yi Lang. Didn't they know their own men inside out? But now, witnessing Zhang Yi's formidable leadership and execution firsthand, no one doubted Zhang Yi's capabilities anymore. Everyone present now looked at this young man with newfound respect. Is this the reason why the Dragon Nation could rise from the ashes in just a few decades, reclaim its place among the world's leading powers, and become a superpower? Zhang Yi had also allowed these Arab men to experience the unique charm that belonged to the people of Dragon Nation. A dozen minutes later, the group stepped outside into a high-rise complex belonging to the royal family, serving as their recreational shooting range. The space was vast. The view was unobstructed. It was the perfect place for testing. Zhang Yi had his men lay out all the prepared items on the ground, arranging them neatly. Everyone watched Zhang Yi manipulate these items, utterly baffled. They still couldn't fathom how these components could be transformed into the formidable bombs Zhang Yi had described. If only they had studied properly earlier. Under the curious stares of the crowd, Zhang Yi had someone heat and melt the white sugar. Then, he added potassium nitrate extracted from fertilizer in a specific ratio, stirred it evenly, poured it into molds, and let it cool. This created a simple solid propellant. The sugar contained a large amount of energy, which would be slowly released during combustion. The addition of potassium nitrate accelerated the reaction rate. Once the potassium nitrate ignited spontaneously from the heat, it released a large amount of oxygen, causing the sugar to undergo a violent combustion. The resulting force was powerful enough to propel a rocket projectile high into the sky. Elong's team struggled a bit. Some steps required several attempts before getting it right. Fortunately, they ultimately achieved the effect Zhang Yi desired. Finally, Zhang Yi had the prepared propellant and other explosive devices placed inside the steel pipe. The fuse was assembled. A simple 3-stage rocket was thus assembled. Thankfully, his chemistry background came in handy. He'd come across these things online before, so he remembered the details clearly without needing to search Baidu. Before the screen, Zhang Yi smiled. As the saying goes, master math, physics, and chemistry, and you'll conquer the world. Next, Zhang Yi watched as a group of rough and tumble guys on the screen examined the rocket launcher he'd developed with curious expressions. Their eyes still betrayed skepticism. But no worries, they'd soon realize he was telling the truth. Alright, have someone ignite it. Lu Hani ordered with mixed feelings. A soldier stepped forward to ignite the charge, and everyone quickly backed away. Seconds later. Boom! A deafening explosion shook the ground as a rocket was indeed launched from the steel barrel. The projectile ultimately struck a wall several hundred meters away. The force was staggering. The explosion tore a gaping hole in the wall, causing half of it to collapse. Lu Hani, Hand, Abdullah, and the entire Elong leadership were stunned. Holy crap! This actually worked? The sheer power far exceeded their expectations. And this was just the scaled-down version Zhang Yi had them make, worried the site wouldn't be big enough. If the dosage were increased, the resulting rocket launcher would only be more powerful. The only drawback is that accuracy becomes harder to control. This level of power is more than sufficient. The crowd excitedly gathered around, showering Zhang Yi with flattery. They were thoroughly impressed. They couldn't help but be impressed. Zhang Yi pushed the crowd aside, pulling Handra aside privately to discuss the import plan. Since Gaza lacked its own industrial facilities, it relied on imports for everything from fertilizer and sugar to steel pipes. Gaza was desperately poor, struggling to feed its own people. Zhang Yi kindly offered them a special price. Handra was so moved he nearly wept, immediately agreeing to import exclusively from Zhang Yi. As both parties signed the order, Zhang Yi hurriedly opened the map, shifting the view back to Yamen. The advantage of the game was that even if his stand was in Elong, he could still operate within the game using dual perspectives. Sugar refinery. Fertilizer plant. Steel mill. Under construction. Under construction. Zhang Yi exchanged several required factories at the prestige store one after another. Suddenly, a notification popped up on the game interface. Gaseous Affinity, 57. Chapter 40, New Feature Affinity. Affinity? What was that? Zhang Yi had never heard of such a thing as affinity in a game before. Could it be a new feature? Zhang Yi tapped the prompt. An information box appeared on the screen. Affinity. Upon reaching a certain affinity level with a faction, you may establish diplomatic relations, form alliances, and engage in joint international affairs. Higher affinity yields greater trade benefits and additional revenue. Average affinity, 15. Note, affinity below 15 is considered negative affinity, which can be understood as a corresponding hatred value. The lower the affinity, the higher the hatred. Affinity levels, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. Current affinity, 72 level 1. This confirmed Zhang Yi's suspicions. It was indeed a new feature. It was quite easy to grasp. The default affinity level is 15, meaning nations or organizations with which there is neither close ties nor hostility start at 15. Values above 15 represent positive favorability. This promotes cooperative relations between the parties. If below 15, it's negative affinity, essentially representing hostility. 57 plus the base 15 affinity makes 72. Is 72 only level 1 affinity? If that's how it's calculated. Zhang Yi realized that increasing affinity would only get harder from here on out. Otherwise, if it increased by 50-something each time, it would hit 100 in just 2 tries. Congratulations! Your affinity with Sandow has reached level 1. You have earned the following reward. X Special Forces. Description: a special forces unit that is absolutely loyal and obedient to you. Expertise: land warfare, decapitation strikes, assassination, rescue operations. Personnel: 300. Zhang Yi's eyes lit up. Not bad. He'd actually acquired another absolutely loyal special forces unit. And this time, the numbers reached 300. You see? The special forces unit led by Alpha, which he had previously obtained from the system, numbered less than 200. The system's rewards are getting more and more generous. Zhang Yi marveled inwardly. Next, Zhang Yi examined the individual attributes of this special forces unit and discovered that every member possessed combat prowess off the charts. In the real world, even the world's top elite soldiers would be unable to match them. They were perfectly suited for executing special missions. Beheadings, rescues, assassinations, these would become routine operations for Zhang Yi in the future. Especially decapitation. If Zhang Yi could achieve a 100% success rate on decapitation missions, it would strike fear into the hearts of the entire world. Just imagine. Before the war even begins, the enemy loses a key commander who wouldn't be terrified? Who would dare to go to war with Zhang Yi? After spending over 10 minutes, Zhang Yi selected one with suitable attributes. As usual, he said it as the captain. Naming. Zhang Yi paused for a moment. Henry it is. Captain, Henry. Setup complete. Managing a 300-person special forces unit alone would be impossible. Zhang Yi then instructed Henry. Henry, you'll handle the personnel assignments. Divide them into roughly 10 squads, then assign a squad leader based on your experience. Henry, understood, leader. With that settled, Zhang Yi no longer needed to concern himself with the matter. He closed the military camp. His attention returned to the scene. Zhang Yi and Han signed the contract, and the assembled leaders stepped forward to offer their congratulations. Congratulations. The collaboration between Hush-Armed and Gassa will undoubtedly make you stronger. We sincerely hope Gassa can break free from those demons soon. Most people possess a fairly righteous heart. At least that's how Andre felt. Unless absolutely necessary, he would never wish to see war. Rouhani patted Han on the shoulder. Hurry up and thank Jiang. If not for him, the siege by Yisili and our inability to resist would have dragged on for much longer. Han immediately turned to Zhang Yi and bowed sincerely. His face radiated sincerity as he said, thank you. Once our nation develops, we will never forget this kindness. Zhang Yi stood with his hands behind his back. He nodded. These words were merely for show. After all, everything in the international arena revolves around interests. For now, mutual interests bind them together. As for what the future holds, that remains to be seen. Of course, the pleasantries must be exchanged. A dozen minutes later, the group returned to the conference hall. Ilang immediately dispatched personnel to procure the materials required for Zhang Yi's self-developed rocket-propelled grenades. These rocket-propelled grenades were not only convenient and efficient but also remarkably inexpensive. Rouhani believed they should also manufacture a batch to keep in reserve. The meeting continued. Beyond the Yisili faction, the discussion turned to Shashi. Ilang had long harbored apprehensions about Shashi. With Zhang Yi present this time, Rouhani seemed to open up, continuously venting about Shazhan's shortcomings. Zhang Yi gave Rouhani a direct and affirmative response. Rest assured, if we get another chance with Shashi, we'll definitely keep hitting him hard. We won't let him off easy. The enmity with Session was already set in stone. In Zhang Yi's view, there was no turning back. They had to fight to the bitter end until the other side conceded defeat. And as a notorious big shot in Dongzhou, how could Zhang Yi possibly be satisfied without fleecing them thoroughly? Upon receiving Zhang Yi's reply, Rouhani burst into laughter. Don't underestimate Hushi's armed forces as a subordinate of Yilang. They were cultivated by Yilang in the early years. But Rouhani knew full well. Times had changed. The relationship between the two sides had undergone a subtle shift long ago, after Zhang Yi led the Hushi armed forces to take flight. Especially after witnessing Zhang Yi's performance at today's meeting. He even felt a surge of desire to acknowledge Zhang Yi as his big brother. Of course. Just kidding. As the leader of Yilang, maintaining face was still crucial. By the time he left Yilang after the meeting, over 3 hours had passed. Yisili. Every executive's face was as sour as if they'd swallowed a fly. After Luwen saw their plan so easily exposed by Zhang Yi, he slammed his fist on the table in fury, his palm turning crimson from the force. Even Yisili veterans like Muds and others. They were baffled. How could this guy be so sharp, so easily seeing through them? They were furious. Yet they couldn't deny one thing. Zhang Yi's decisive style of action, his exceptionally sharp mind, his personal qualities, and the strength of his subordinates far exceeded their expectations, leaving them deeply shocked. If such a man were allowed to continue developing unchecked, could very well bring devastating consequences upon them. Luwen, I trust you understand we must eliminate this man. Muds couldn't contain his impatience and spoke first. It doesn't matter how we do it, whether through assassination, decapitation, or directly declaring war and sending forces to bomb him. The bottom line is, his existence is detrimental to us. We cannot stand idly by. Luwen's pupils contracted slightly as he gripped a pen in his hand. A cold, murderous intent began to manifest in his eyes. Chapter 41, Direct Appointment to Academician? If Luwen had already harbored murderous intent, then Mud's words only deepened his resolve. Yisili, a figure akin to the young tyrant of East Continent. He held the Eastern Continent's affairs firmly in his grasp. Whoever did what, or the future trajectory of East Continent, it all hinged on their word. Zhang Yi's sudden emergence had already begun to throw the Eastern Continent into chaos, gradually slipping beyond control. As a crucial strategic stronghold, Yisili could never simply abandon this vast natural treasure trove. Nor could they allow Zhang Yi to run rampant on their turf. At this moment, Zhang Yi remained unaware that he had done nothing to earn Yisili's such deep-seated hatred. Of course, even if he did know, Zhang Yi wouldn't care. Yisili still couldn't threaten him. Unless they intended to ignite a full-scale war in the Eastern Continent. Zhang Yi would welcome such a move. Then he could stir up trouble in the middle and make a killing off the war profits. This wasn't Zhang Yi being shameless. He'd learned it from the lighthouse father of Yisili. Who didn't know that the lighthouse nation's rise to power was essentially a history of war, a nation built on conflict? Meanwhile, Zhang Yi was inspecting several newly built factories, preparing to accelerate their production. Suddenly, his phone vibrated. A call came in. It was his advisor. Zhang Yi, are you free? Come to my office immediately. Suspecting it might be about the innovation technology competition, Zhang Yi readily agreed. 10 minutes later, Zhang Yi arrived at the office door. Getting closer, he saw a large crowd gathered at the entrance, dressed in security uniforms. Zhang Yi even spotted a few familiar faces. The Vice Dean of Academic Affairs, the Director of the Academic Affairs Office, and various other department heads. In short, a large number of university leaders were present. What was going on? Zhang Yi wondered. Could it be that the material he developed had finally gained attention? Zhang Yi? Finally here. Come over, come over. Zhang Yi was puzzled as he stood at the office doorway. The vice principal spotted Zhang Yi and flashed an excited expression, urgently beckoning him over. Zhang Yi approached the vice principal. Only then did he notice the principal was there too. It seemed every big shot in the school, big or small, had gathered here. This was a rare sight indeed. Hurry inside. Someone's looking for you. The vice principal gestured for Zhang Yi to proceed inside. Zhang Yi scanned the office and was suddenly drawn to an elderly gentleman in his 70s or 80s. Dressed in a suit, he exuded an air of scholarly refinement and meticulousness. His deep-set features hinted at having been quite the handsome man in his youth. The moment he saw the old gentleman, a name popped into Zhang Yi's mind. Wang Deming. He was a bit stunned, never expected this heavyweight figure to be here too. This man was an expert in oil and gas field development engineering, a petroleum development engineer, a doctoral supervisor at the University of Petroleum, and a professor-level senior engineer. Moreover, he held an even more prestigious title. He was among the inaugural academicians of the Longwei Academy of Engineering. His lifetime achievements include countless national honors. He holds over a dozen national invention patents, including several international patents. Among all these patents and honors, even just one of them would be enough to make him a national treasure. The mere sight of him seated, with the university president smiling beside him as an accompaniment, speaks volumes about his extraordinary stature. Oh, and Zhang Yi's counselor was there too. He stared at Zhang Yi in astonishment. A heavyweight like Wang Deming was here. She wondered what on earth Zhang Yi had done. Had he gotten himself into trouble? Otherwise, why would an academician with a packed schedule bother coming to the college to find him personally? At that moment, upon seeing Zhang Yi, Wang Deming's eyes flashed with excitement as he hurriedly stood up and headed toward the exit. You're Zhang Yi? Wang Deming asked. Zhang Yi nodded. Yes, academician Wang. You know me? Zhang Yi smiled. An academician of the Longwei Academy of Engineering? Of course I know you. Excellent. Wang Deming patted Zhang Yi on the shoulder, his eyes brimming with admiration. Then I'll get straight to the point. I'm one of the judges for your academy's innovation technology competition this time. I'm here primarily for you. Wang Deming hadn't been particularly interested in this competition at first. He was merely a nominal judge. Who knew that during the judging process he would discover something related to petroleum that caught his attention? After carefully analyzing and studying the material Zhang Yi had submitted, he was immediately stunned. He realized this material held immense practical value. If truly applied to stone mining, it could potentially revolutionize Longwei's petroleum extraction technology. Yes. It might sound exaggerated. But consider this. Longwei's current oil extraction technology is already quite advanced internationally. Reaching this level, making further progress is difficult. Extremely difficult. Zhang Yi's material, however, has the potential to break through this current bottleneck. Especially when Zhang Yi mentioned the concept of incorporating or integrating nanoscale sensors into the material's design. Seemed to open up an entirely new world. It offered a fresh direction for future research in oil extraction technology. He immediately confirmed. This Zhang Yi is nothing short of a genius. At least in the academic field of oil extraction, he possessed remarkable talent. He couldn't wait to tell anyone about it, rushing straight to the academy to see Zhang Yi in person. Zhang Yi had developed that material and written a specialized paper on its applications in future research directions. He suspected Zhang Yi's understanding of this field might extend far beyond what was already known. This was the primary purpose of his visit. Zhang Yi tried to appear calm. Academician Wang, are you asking if I have more detailed information about the material and introductions to related follow-up technologies? Yes, is that? Wang Deming's eyes widened in astonishment. His thoughts had been completely read by Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi smiled. He had already copied down all the relevant principles, parameters, and practical applications of the oil drilling equipment in the game beforehand, all in anticipation of this very moment. Wait for me in the dorm. Zhang Yi said. He dashed back to the dormitory at top speed, then jogged back to the counselor's office. He handed Wang Deming the complete set of detailed documentation. Wang Deming's hands trembled slightly. He swallowed hard and began to examine the materials carefully. The documents were substantial, yet he only took about 10 minutes to review them. Then, his expression shifted to one of profound shock. As a professional, he didn't need to scrutinize it, just a quick glance told him the gist of what Zhang Yi had mentioned. It was comprehensive, detailed. And it was entirely reasonable. Everything could be integrated into professional knowledge. He swore that the theories and techniques Zhang Yi had written were absolutely viable, not some haphazard fabrication. Zhang Yi, would you be willing to hand this over to me? Rest assured, I won't appropriate your work. I'll submit it faithfully to the state. With this contribution alone, you could be directly appointed as an academician. The moment these words left his mouth, Every single person present was utterly dumbfounded. Chapter 42. Even the president is flattering? Especially the principal and vice principal. Hearing Wang Deming say this, they nearly collapsed to their knees. Academician? What does that even mean? It's the highest academic honor in science, technology, and engineering in our country. Out of over 1 billion people nationwide, how many could ever be selected as academicians? The total number doesn't even reach 2,000. The prestige is self-evident. When did such an esteemed figure arrive at their academy? Hadn't they noticed yet? Counselor Zhang Yi's jaw dropped so wide you could fit an egg in it. He'd seen impressive people before, but never someone this extraordinary. Just make him an academician already. Such obscure writing. I recognize every single one of these terms, yet when they're put together like this, they feel so unfamiliar. Facing academician Wang Deming's inquiry, Zhang Yi replied calmly, Academician Wang, feel free to submit it. As a citizen of Longhua, I naturally wish to contribute to the nation. Otherwise, why would I have submitted this technical report and documentation to higher authorities? The bigger the splash, the better. The more solid Zhang Yi's genius persona becomes. This is precisely what Zhang Yi wants to see. Excellent. Absolutely perfect. To possess such profound national sentiment at such a young age, just entering university. At that moment, Wang Deming felt genuinely moved. A nation's most vital asset is undoubtedly its fresh blood for the future. With young people like Zhang Yi around, he felt the future of the Dragon Nation held great promise. How could it not grow strong? Very well. Wang Deming spoke up, in that case, I'll take these technical documents with me for now. I'll be in touch later, Zhang Yi. Yes, Mr. Wang. Zhang Yi wore a polite smile. It was an honor to converse with such a distinguished elder who had made immense contributions to the nation. Wang Deming turned to the principal. As for that Zhang Yi at our university, I'll have to trouble you to keep an eye on him for now. No problem, absolutely no problem. The principal nodded vigorously, not daring to utter a single word of refusal. He was thrilled inside. Zhang Yi hailed from their college. This matter was bound to become a major sensation in the future. Their college would reap the benefits, and as the principal, he would profit from it too. Even if Wang Deming hadn't mentioned it, he would have proactively arranged Zhang Yi's future treatment with crystal clarity. Even if he were to be treated like a deity, he wouldn't have a single complaint. Wang Deming nodded, his mind now at ease. This research holds immense value for national oil extraction. I can assure you that once the technology is handed over, you will be well compensated. Wang Deming turned his gaze back to Zhang Yi, his tone earnest. By the way, if you have any other thoughts or concerns, feel free to share them with me. This old man may not be much, but I do have some connections. Zhang Yi liked hearing that. A top-tier academician of the Longhua Academy of Engineering. The scope of his connections need not be elaborated upon to understand its formidable reach. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call it the nation's most elite network. With that statement alone, Zhang Yi would have no trouble walking tall not just throughout the entire academy, but anywhere in society. So, we've basically hitched our wagon to the state's coattails? Exactly, Zhang Yi. If you ever need anything, just let me know. The principal even stepped in to vouch for him, setting aside the prestige Zhang Yi's honor would bring to their institution, but the endorsement of this technology by academician Wang Deming himself. Their college's research achievements aren't just secured for this year, they're guaranteed for years to come. After this incident, the college's standing on the international stage would likely rise significantly. Wang Deming didn't linger long on campus. This matter was of critical importance and could not be delayed. After the president and others repeatedly urged him to ensure Zhang Yi was well taken care of and nothing happened to him, he hurriedly departed the academy. He had important matters to attend to. Zhang Yi, the principal, the vice principal, and others personally saw off academician Wang Deming to the school gate. Only after watching him depart did they turn back toward the academy. By the way, Zhang Yi, not only have you brought honor to the academy this time, but you've also made a significant contribution to our nation. Therefore, to facilitate your future research work, I've arranged for a single apartment to be assigned to you. The principal was quite tactful. He didn't explicitly state that he was granting Zhang Yi special privileges by providing a single apartment. Instead, he framed it as ensuring Zhang Yi's future research would proceed undisturbed. This way, even if others learned the academy was giving Zhang Yi special treatment, no one would dare complain. After all, it was entirely reasonable for the sake of research. Zhang Yi accepted without hesitation. Because he deserved it. Oh, right. The president seemed to think of something else. Furthermore, considering your contributions to the academy and to support your future technological development, I've decided to personally sponsor a scholarship for you. I'll have it deposited into your account shortly. Principal, that won't be necessary. Zhang Yi feigned politeness. Because this was also what he deserved. Ah, no need to be so polite. At your age, you need money. If you ever run short, just come find me. The principal said with a cheerful smile. The accompanying vice principal and academic affairs director stood by, visibly embarrassed. The principal is usually so aloof. When did he become so obsequious? Poof. Life's A. After the principal's persistent insistence, Zhang Yi reluctantly accepted the scholarship. Ahem. If they insist on giving it, how could I possibly disappoint the principal? Beyond the scholarship and private apartment, every perk imaginable was included: full tuition waiver, extra credit on final exams, transportation discounts, travel perks, meal subsidies, the whole package. In short, he added everything he could think of. Truthfully, most of it was unnecessary. Take the extra credit and travel transportation purchase